The biggest numbers are numbers. Okay, and it has to be able to divide into more than one, right? All right, so if you answered the first question, take a point for your team. Now, today we're going to look at trinomials that do not have a greatest common factor. And it's going to be in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. So we're going to start with a trinomial that looks exactly like this, but we're not going to have a number out front. We do have a number in front of the second term, and we do have a constant, but we are not going to have a number out front. Get excited. Wow, super happy about that excitement level, children. Okay. I did. Carly, can you take out your headphones for me, please? Yes. Thank you. Blair, what did you do with your notes? Alright, so today I can factor a trinomial without a GCF like a ninja. So no greatest common factor today, which means that they have nothing in common. So we have 3 steps to do this, but we have to pay attention to our signs because signs matter in everything we do. In everything we do. So please turn this. Now, we're going to start with our first example. And we're going to write it out to the side. And as we go, we're going to list our rules on what we do. So our first example says x squared plus 14x plus 24. Now, that trinomial has no common factor. They don't all have a variable. There's no number other than 1 that goes into all 3 terms. So we have to follow special steps to be able to factor this. Now, no matter what we're doing during this entire lesson, our main goal is to find 2 numbers that multiply to give you C and add to B. Now remember, factoring is going backwards. We're going back to what we did last week where we were multiplying. It says to find 2 numbers that multiply to give you C and add to B. Where are your glasses? You've lost your glasses. Do you need one of my contacts? Contacts are not... Alright, so last week we had something that had a greatest common factor if we had a trinomial, and we factored it out to look like this, right? And we just had 1 parentheses. Now what we're doing today is we're going backwards to FOIL, where we had 2 binomials. So we're trying to find 2 numbers that multiply to give you C and add to B, and then we factor them into here. So we're going to end up with 2 binomials. Now the first step we have to do is we have to factor C into pairs, which means that we list all the factors of 24. But before we do that, we have to look at 2 things. 1, we have to see if C is negative, then we look at B. Bless you. Bless you. Are you okay? Okay. Alright, is RC negative here? Bless you. Get it together. Alright, our C is not negative. So if C is positive, all and I don't know why I didn't make my boxes big enough. All factors match the sign of B. So remember, we're looking for two numbers that multiply together to give us C and add to give us B. If C is positive, which it's here, our two factors have to match the sign of B. So our factor is going to be positive or negative? Positive, because that's a plus. Now, let's talk about what that means. Everybody, make a factor tree, or a factor T. Write 24 and then make a T. Now, they both have to be positive. So we're going to list all the factors that multiply to give us 24. What's the first one that you know? 6 and 4. Take a point. What's another one?
4 and 6.
Different one.
3 and 8.
3 and 8. Take a point.
12 and 2.
12 and 2. Take a point. Is there one more?
13 and
24 and 1.
1. Oh, no, just kidding.
24 and 1. Take a point. So all we do is we list our factors of 24. Now, our goal is to find two numbers that multiply to give you C and add to B. So we need to find two numbers that multiply to give us 24 and add to give us 14. What is 6 plus 4? So that doesn't work. What is 3 plus 8?
11.
So that doesn't work. What is 12 plus 2?
14.
14. Now, that was our step 2. Factor C into pairs is step 1. Which factor adds to B is step 2. 3, all you do is draw your two parentheses. You have an X and an X because our variable's X. Is everybody with me so far? And then you put your factors in the parentheses. So plus 12, plus 2, and you're done. That's it. That's all you do. I know. We're going to walk through it again just to be safe. One fun fact about pi. Pi is the 16th letter in the Greek alphabet. It is.
It's a letter?
Yes.
It
Oh,
is.
pi. It's like the,
Yeah.
oh, symbol. I thought you meant like the number. I was like, what?
Okay. I love you like sliced bread. Alright. So the first thing we did, step 1, we factored C into pairs. We looked at C, it was positive, so both of our factors are positive because it has to match this. So we listed all our factors of 24. Does everybody see our first step? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
Step 2, which factor pair adds to B? So we did 6 plus 4 and we got 10. That doesn't work. 3 plus 8 and we got 11. That doesn't work. 12 plus 2 and we got 14. Ding, ding, ding. That's what we need. So we put it in parentheses. And we're done. Not with the lesson, just with that part. Any questions? Are you ready to practice some more? Do you need a moment to color your ninjas? Okay. Are we ready? Do we need a minute? Anybody? Are we alive? We're not alive? We're zombies? You're zombie ninjas? Okay. You know. Why are you dead on the inside? It just happened that way. Hello, happy birthday.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Here's your factor. Here's your. Take this.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Happy birthday, Dr.
Did you say that they might be twins?
Split
We're
up.
both twins.
Are y'all twins?
Yes. They got the same.
I don't think that's the deciding factor, babe.
You think born like the hands,
All right. What time were you born? Do y'all know what time you were born?
I was born at 11 to something. 11 like 50.
When were you born, Patrick?
Wait, what hospital was it?
Well,
Was it Brooklyn? The one in Alabaster? What's the one in Alabaster?
There's not one in Alabama. Oh.
Shelby County. Dang, you get that.
All right, so let's take a deep breath and turn our paper over. All right, so we're going to practice some with different kinds of signs. We're going to practice one together, one on your own. One together, one on your own. One together, one on your own. Get excited.
I'm joking.
All right, factor each trinomial. Example 2, because the front was example 1. So A, our first problem that we're going to do together is x squared plus 9x plus 20. X squared plus 9x plus 20. Now, step 1 says to factor C into pairs, but we have to look at our signs. If C is positive, we look at B. Are both of our factors going to be positive or negative? Positive. All right, let's list our factors of 20. Now, we need two numbers that multiply together to give us 20 and add to give us 9.
10 times 2.
Okay.
5 times 4.
Okay.
5 times 4 is the one with the stop.
Why is 5 times 4 the 1?
Because 5 plus 1 is 9.
Look at you guys go. Now draw your parentheses. What variable is in our problem? Are we going to put pluses or minus? And what are our factors? Does it matter which way we write them? No, it does not. Unless they're negatives. Watch your negatives. Careful, careful, taters. And we're done. That's it.
Wasn't that called the other thing?
We're reversing FOIL. Yep. No, because that's going to take 97 years. So, can you wait? Just write this down and then I'll give it to you at the end. Because it's not going to take us all class period. All right. B. I would like you to try this one without me.
Oh my god. What is it?
A squared plus 11a plus... I'm going to hurt you.
What is that? 18?
Well, if Saxon would stop talking, I would be able to tell you. We need two numbers to multiply to give us what?
9 times 2. 9 times.
That's not what I asked you.
Give you 11.
Multiply to give you 18, add to give you 11.
9 times 9 is 19.
Okay, so somebody tell me what my parentheses look like.
In parentheses, A plus 9, close parentheses, new parentheses, A plus 2.
Yes, no, maybe. That's all you do. So we're going backwards to FOIL. That's it. And if you want to check your work, you can use FOIL. So let's check our work just to make sure. Who remembers the FOIL method?
First,
Oh, thank Jesus, we do remember. The smiley face. All right, so what is the first? What do I multiply together?
A times A.
A times A. That's my eyebrow, right? A to 2. Because that's A squared.
A to 2.
All right, what do I do next? What do I... Nope.
A times 2.
Draw the mouth, and that's 2A. What's next? The nose. And what's last? And that's 18. Combine like terms, and you get A squared plus 11A plus 18. Look at that. That's our answer. Magic. All right, ready for another one? All right, C. Let's throw in a minus this time. Let's go super crazy. T squared minus 10t plus 9. Now our C is still positive, but our B is negative. So both factors have to be what? Negative. You weren't confident in yourself, so I thought I'd help you out. Yes, because what's our letter this time? T. T is in tomato.
Wait, you have to try to add numbers to get to 9?
They multiply to get to 9 and add to get to negative 10.
Oh, 9.
Yes.
Another pie fact. In Europe, Pi Day is celebrated on July 22nd instead of March 14th. A good estimate of pi is the fraction 22 divided by 7. Alright, so for this one, we have to multiply to get 9, but add to get negative 10. So that's negative 9 and negative 1, negative 3 and negative 3. It's the first one. So that's T minus 9 times T minus 1. Who got it right without me? If your whole table got it right, give your team a point. Woo! Alright, so now, let's throw a curveball in here. They're both negative this time. Y squared minus 7y minus 30. Now, our directions say that if C is negative, look at B. And it doesn't tell us what to do from there, right? So we're going to add some notes on the front, turn it over. I know, let's moan and groan like I'm torturing you. I was looking around at everybody, babe.
Well, we made eye contact, so.
I'm sorry that you were looking at me at the same time I was looking around. Alright, so your first rule, if B is positive, the big factor is positive. Positive. I mean what I say. So if C is negative, look at B. So then if B is positive, the big factor is positive. Is this blurry?
Yes.
It is? Okay. Okay, let's try again. Hold on.
Yes. No.
Is that better? It's kind of the same, isn't it?
It's not blurry.
So if B is positive, the big factor is positive. Because remember, we're multiplying to get a negative this time, which means we need a positive and a negative. Because a positive times the negative is the only thing that's a negative. So that's why it's different this time. If C is negative, look at B. Because remember, we're multiplying to get to this number. So if we are, don't turn it over, just look. If we are multiplying to get to negative 30, we have to have one positive, one negative. So we look at B. If B is positive, the big factor is positive. What if B is negative? Yes. If B is negative, big factor is negative. And we are going to execute and show what that really means. Are we ready? I know. Alright, so C is negative. We look at B. B is negative. So what's our big factor have to be this time? Negative. Alright, so So now we're multiplying to get negative 30. Please list two numbers that multiply to get negative 30. And the big factor...
Negative 10,
Oh,
positive 3.
look at you guys go. Negative 10, positive 3, negative... What? 6 and 5? Negative 6 and 5. Negative 15 and 2. Anything else?
The 31.
Okay. Now, they have to multiply to get negative 30 and add to get what? Negative 7. So negative 10 plus 3 is our factor. Now, how do we write it in our parentheses this time?
Negative.
So y plus 3 and y minus 10? Awesome. That's it. That's all you do.
I ain't saying that.
Is it difficult for you, Cheney? What part is difficult? I mean, if you're going to mutter stuff, let's be honest about it. What part of it's difficult? What part?
How do you write that? Like when you at the tree, but it's hard to explain.
Well, try. That way I can try and improve my teaching skills for you.
I'm not saying you're a bad teacher. I'm just
It's not what I said either. What part don't you understand?
I don't know.
You don't get how to... Hmm?
Can you explain like
So, looking at C. So the first thing you do is you have to look at C. Now, if C is negative, we take a look at B. Okay? Now, if B is positive, that means our big factor has to be positive. If B is negative, our big factor has to be negative. Otherwise, it won't add right to give you the B when we factor. So the reason that we did that here, the reason right here, we have negative 30 and our big factor had to be negative is because this is a negative. So if we said 10 plus a negative 3, that would give us positive 7. And we don't need a positive 7, we need a negative 7, right? So first we have to list our multiples of our C. Then we see which one adds together to give us our B. And then we write it in our parentheses. You want to do one more together? Okay. C is the third term. B is the middle term. That's why we wrote it up here. So this is the third. That's your constant. This is the second. And that's your first.
Why does B have X?
Because that's our form. X squared plus BX plus C. Every time. Alright, let's do one more together. E. I'm going to write it right here so I don't have to go to a new piece of paper. And I did on my notes. Poop. Oh. Alright, so we're going to use... Are you dying? You have a twitch? Okay, can you stop? Thanks, love you. Alright, let's do x squared plus 2x, no, don't do that, minus 15. Alright, remember, our goal is to find two numbers that multiply together to give us C and add to give us B. Now, we start by looking at C. Is C negative?
yes.
Okay, so what do we do from here?
look at B?
We look at B.
When it says if B is positive, then the big factor is positive.
Okay, is our B positive? So that means our big factor is going to be positive, right? So we need a positive number and a negative number because we're trying to get negative 15. So what two numbers multiply together to give us negative 15?
Negative 5 and 3.
Negative 5 and 3?
5 and negative 3.
5 and negative 3. Why did you say 5 and negative 3?
Because the little one has to be the negative 2.
Uh-huh.
The other one's not.
Now, we have to add, and we could also have 15 and negative 1, right? Now, we have to multiply to give us negative 15 and add to give us 2. This one adds together to give us 2 because what's 5 plus negative 3? 2. So then we write it in parentheses. Now, what do we write first?
X plus 5.
And?
X 3.
Does it click a little better now that we've done one more together? Are we sure? Let's do another one together. X squared minus 22x plus 40. All right, this time C is positive. So what do we do? Nope, C is positive. You do it like regular, but what do both of our signs have to be? Negative. All right, what two numbers multiply to give us 40? And? 8 and 5, and 1 and 40. Now, we have to add these together to give us 22. So which two add together to give us 22?
Don't all of those have to be negative?
They do have to be negative.
I was about to say, I was wondering.
Yeah,
Why do they both have to be negative?
So the two
negative.
Yep. All right, now which one of those add together to give us negative 22? So how do we write it?
X minus 20. X minus 2.
All right, again. Well, we said we didn't understand. So we're going to practice until we understand. That's our goal. All right. M squared minus 15m plus 50. Together or without me?
Without you.
Okay. We're doing one more after this, so leave room. Another pi fact. Pi has been known to humans for almost 4,000 years, but the symbol for it was only introduced in the last 300 years.
Why is pi such a big deal? I remember that.
You ain't never got that?
It's infinite.
Yeah, it's infinite.
Isn't there other infinite?
E, but it's not as well known as pi.
What is E?
2.1718 something. It's also Albert Einstein's birthday.
Really?
Yep.
Isn't that Albert Einstein on your big thing?
I was making like the Greeks.
Yeah, that's what I just said 4,000 years ago.
Who created punk?
The,
The Greeks.
we already said that. The Greeks. All right, what'd y'all get for your factors? So we got m minus 10 times m minus 5. All right, uno más and then homework.
Oh!
Please don't do that. Too much paperwork. Which order? No. Mm-mm. It does not matter which order you write them in. X squared minus x minus 72. Do that one without me, and I'm going to pass out your homework while you're working on it. You have 2 pages for homework.
The 8, the left one has the 8. Are we saying it right?
No, the big factor has to be negative this time.
Okay.
Mhm. And I think this one colors prettier than the others have.
Others just kind of like junk. Yeah, they were so much black.
Yo!
Teal, like,
Oh.
teal look like.
A dark greenish blue.
So like water, swamp water looking?
No.
Swamp water? Yes, it looks like swamp water.
A dark green blue, right?
Swamp water is not blue, it's dark
Swamp
green.
water, yeah.
It's like,
I saw that board for point.
All right, solve it on the board.
swamp water is like, it's like green.
Or do you want me to solve it up there?
You can solve it over there. I'll write it on here. You tell me what to write.
What is it, X?
Squared minus x minus 72.
Come on, child, faster.
Oh,
9 and
oh, it's not.
All right, did any of us get x minus 9 and x plus 8?
Yes.
Do we understand a little better now? Cheney, does it help now that we've done some more together?
Can I get a point for that on the board?
Cheney, does it help now that we've done some more together? Okay, yes. Yes. All right, now, on your homework. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 problems at the bottom that you first have to factor out the greatest common factor before you do trinomial factoring. Can anybody figure out which ones those are? 13, okay. Which else? 15, yeah, you got to find the GCF first. And 11 and 9. Now remember, we are only factoring problems that have a 1 as our leading coefficient. This b squared has a 1. So for this, let's factor out a 2. So if I divide everything by 2, what's 2x squared divided by 2? Alright, what's 6x divided by 2? And what's 108 divided by 2?
54.
Alright, then you factor it from there. Now let's look at 11. What's the greatest common factor of 11? 5, alright? If we factor out 5, what's 5x squared divided by 5? What's 10x divided by 5? And what's 20 divided by 5?
4.
Okay. Alright, number 13. What's the greatest common factor of those? Alright, what's 6x squared divided by 6? And then?
11.
And then?
10.
Alright, and on our last one, let's factor out 4.
4.
And you,
2.
minus 2. And then factor them from there. This is due tomorrow. I will not take it after tomorrow. Does everybody understand? Now, on Mondays and Wednesdays, we're going to start doing the ACT Aspire prep tutoring. If you want to come so that you can benchmark on your ACT Aspire and we can get better at that,